Hey, John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a question here about annual raises. Can you negotiate these things? So this question goes, hey John, I do have a question for you. I really enjoyed your How to Negotiate Your Salary article. I think this is a good and rewarding strategy. Yet I've been in a similar situation many times with the annual review. Copyright TM, he put. What happens in every company is my manager saying, thank you for the good work, but giving a very basic raise. Usually the situation is clear. This is not a negotiation and I should be happy for what I get. 6 months ago, I decided to challenge my manager. First, I clearly explained twice during our bi-weekly one-to-one meetings preceding the annual review that I felt my salary did not match the market and I didn't feel recognized for my good work with it. I received an official letter announcing the amount and some points I could work on to demonstrate more value. The amount was identical to the previous one, so less in percentage. It came with 6 points to demonstrate more value, not 1, 2, or 3, but 6. Imagine how terrible it feels. I guess I should not complain and feel grateful for having a job, right? Yet, they were either skills I had already, but didn't practice for many years, or skills I could learn but not demonstrate as I wasn't offered the opportunity to join any other team requiring it anyway. To illustrate, imagine an AngularJS expert that gets a basic rate but could demonstrate more value by becoming an expert in Java or C++ and Amazon Web Services. Too easy not to raise someone with such a strategy, right? Well, I came prepared to the annual review and countered each point to find out that it was a facade and not to raise me more than usual. A facade not to raise me more than usual. Okay, I realize I'm writing a novel now, so is it possible to negotiate during an annual review? How did you usually approach your own annual reviews, and how did you manage a disappointing and unfair raise? Best regards, Seb. So Seb, this is an interesting question. Yes, I do think you can negotiate an annual review, but in order to do so, you might have to find another job. So first of all, let's focus on what you can control and what you can do. So one thing that I do, that I did do at every job that I took, is I created weekly reports of everything that I did. So I did this on a daily basis. So every day, at the end of the day, I would type up the main accomplishments, the things that I did that day, right? And then at the end of the week, I would compile all of those together and send it to my manager, my boss, and I would CC his boss on it. Just in case he's out. Like when I'd first work somewhere, I'd say, look, you know, I want to just as an FYI, I'm just CCing, you know, do you mind if I CC your boss as an FYI? Just so that, you know, I know managing people, the hardest thing is getting information and knowing what your people are doing. So I'm trying to make this easier for you. So I always give a report of exactly what I did every day. And so I would do that. And then when it came annual review time, I would go through all my weekly emails, right? Which my boss is getting and his boss is getting anyway. So they can't claim I'm not doing anything, right? And I would pick out the best things, like all my accomplishments. So I would have this list of a page full of things I did, right? Everyone else in my department would have like a couple of points or some things that they worked on, but I know exactly what days I did it, right? So I'd have a big old list here. And I did plenty of personal development too, right? I read books. I wrote down every book I read, every class I attended, every training I did, and everything I did to develop my skills. And that's all in there. So by the time when I fill out my annual review, it had like ridiculous amount of information. Plus they've been seeing this every week, so they know that this is coming, right? They know that, and so in that position, it's very difficult. Like if someone's going to screw you, they're going to screw you, right? But I minimize the possibility of being screwed. I'm not saying that I never got screwed, right? You know, they had these stack rankings, and I've been stack ranked to not the highest level before, and I'm like, how is this even possible? I actually fought that and overturned it because I had such a long list, and because I went to I was able to go to my boss's boss because he was involved in the ranking process. The company I work for didn't have your boss directly. You know, the person who signed the thing and did the final ranking was my boss's boss. And so I was like, look, like what, you know, they came up with a list of things that I should work on. And I was like, I already worked on these things, see, because I have these things right here. You didn't actually read all the, I didn't say you didn't read all the thing, but it was clear. So anyway, that's what you can do, and that's what I'd recommend, is just making your cases bulletproof as possible. Make sure that you're advancing your career, like read a technical book every month, read something to improve your career, you know, take management classes or whatever it is, like to show that you're expanding your education. Keep track of all of your accomplishments and have this huge list of accomplishments that no one can deny. That's going to give you your best case there. Then, you know, if you get not a good raise at your annual review. Well, and let me start before that. Also, you did the right thing in prepping before the annual review, right? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get your annual review and then see that you got a 1% pay raise or 2% pay raise and then fight it. What you want to do is you want to prep it ahead of time, which you kind of did here, but you got to have a lot of fuel to do this. And you know the annual review is coming out, so say what you want. Say, you know, ahead of time, say, I'm looking for a 10% raise. This is where I think I should have based on my skills, based on, you know, on the market value, and have actual data to back that up, and do that ahead of time so that when they're making the decision, they've got that information, whereas it's going to be much harder to overturn something, right? So, and you're not in a very good negotiating position. I mean, once someone, if you're working for a company and they tell you what your raise is, you can basically, at that point, you can argue it a little bit, but then it's kind of take it or leave it, you know, be grateful for what you got is kind of the attitude. So really the only other alternative that you have is you can negotiate by going to a different company, and you know, and that, I mean, that's it. A lot of times a vertical movement, like a lot of times within a company, you're just not going to be able to climb as high, especially starting out, as you will be going like this and this and this, you know, going from different companies. That's where you get your biggest raises. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out. Like I said, you're not in a great negotiating position, but you can try and stack the deck in your favor. And as long as you do that and you make sure that you announce it ahead of time, and you have good market data that shows why you're worth a certain amount, then you're going to have the best chance. You know, if it comes down to it, though, if someone wants to screw you, if they don't want to pay you more, they can come up with any number of excuses for doing that, and there's nothing you can do. You're not really in a great negotiating position at that point. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Thanks for this question. I think a lot of people are wondering about this. And if you have a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and I would love to answer your question. And if you like this video, subscribe for more career tips and philosophy and everything else. And I will talk to you next time. Take care.